This is Kilo, and I just wanted to respond to a handful of messages I received kind of all around this quote right here. Some of you guys have sent this in the form of a question asking why you don't pick locks in use. Some of the messages asked if I could put a disclaimer to let people know that they shouldn't pick locks in use. Some of you guys wanted to know why that's even a thing. Some of you asked if you could send me, videos for critiques and for advice on how you guys are doing. But you felt like I would demonize you for picking your own lock. So instead of trying to respond to you guys, all it's almost like answering the same question 20 different ways. I just wanted to kind of cover this real quick in a quick little video. So the reason I don't put the disclaimer is because I'm a locksmith, and as a locksmith, all I do is pick locks and use. That's like my whole job. Everything, like almost all the locks that I pick outside of this channel are locks in use. I mean, I do it as a hobby, and every so often, I have locks all over my house. So no matter where I'm sitting, there's probably a lock within reach of me, and I could just sit there and pick it. But most of the time, I'm just through the week. I'm showing up to lockouts, or I'm impressioning a lock, or swapping out a lock, and it's all on locks in use. So as a locksmith, we don't really tell anybody, this way. This is not how we say it. It the way that we say it is really, we tell you only to pick locks that you own or have permission to pick. So this makes more sense than don't pick locks in use. Like, don't pick locks in use, that's kind of confusing. Like, in a way, it's like, but why? Saying it this way, there's really no but why question, you know what I mean? We pretty much tell you this for the most obvious reasons and common sense reasons, and we just kind of expect you to abide by it and be a law-abiding citizen and an upstanding human, and not going out and picking your neighbor's lock. Or in some cases you might work at a shop or something, or a company, and let's say that someone says, oh, I lost the key to the file cabinet, and you're like, oh, I can makeshift something out of these paper clips, and you shove them in, and they get stuck. Then all of a sudden you find out that your coworker next to you with their headphones on actually has the key the whole time, and they just forgot to put it back where it goes. They're like, oh, here's the key, but now they can't put it in because you shoved some makeshift tool in it. That would be a reason. Mostly we kind of tell you to really just be cautious. That's really the biggest thing, is be very cautious of the locks that you do practice on, because we tell you, don't pick locks you rely on. That is something that we will say. But that's really only because we're concerned with you locking yourself out. We're not concerned that you're going to damage your lock. I've trained a lot of guys, and I've taken them out on, calls where, as a locksmith, your first lock that you pick is probably going to be a lock in use. There's a really high percentage chance the first lock you pick as a locksmith is going to be on someone's front door, their mailbox, their garage door, their storefront, their file cabinet. It's going to be a lock in use. This is just because a lot of owners, really good owners, will actually give you some downtime to train the new guy. A lot of these shops now, it seems like they're just hiring kind of just to get you out there. And I've worked at shops like that where they were like, hey, take the new guy out and train him. And when you show up to a lockout just by yourself, a lot of times the customer's in panic mode, and they're really like, they'll see me step out of the van with a trainee, and they're like, oh God, you're going to have someone that doesn't know what he's doing? He's going to break my lock. He's going to damage my lock. Doesn't even know what he can do. Because when a customer calls you, if they locked themselves out like 2 minutes ago, in their mind, once they call you, they've been locked out for 10 days. By the time you show up, they've been locked out for 5 years. and their anxiety is just through the roof. And then it kind of transfers to the trainee. And even if I did teach them something, when we get there, they're shaking, they're doubting themselves. Their anxiety is through the roof with the customer. And I've watched them just thrash these locks and just throw everything out the window that I ever taught them. And they're sitting there breaking their rakes. They're breaking their city rake. They're breaking their Bogota. They're bending their hooks. And they're doing all this to the lock. And then if it gets to a point where they can't handle it, I just, have them, move out of the way. And I pick the lock. And then the lock has always functioned perfectly. It's never been broken. This all kind of happens in a span of like just so many moments, really. It's not like I'm having them sit there for 20 minutes, and enduring this struggle here. I just kind of let them see it, and they kind of look up at me and they're like, "Hey, I don't want to do this one." I'm like, "Don't worry, man. Like it happens. You have to build someone's confidence in order to have them, get good at something." So, you know, just to show you guys, if you guys think that, picking your front door is going to damage it, you run a risk anytime you pick any lock of damaging it. The same way you can run a risk of damaging it while you're rekeying a lock or anything. You can knock all the springs out, and that might be the only spring you had for that lock, and now you're stuck without a spring. So I mean, you run a risk with everything you do. The main reason we just tell you is because we don't want you guys to lock yourselves out. We've all had new guys at our shops want to be bold and lock their key in their house or in their car, and then they can't get in, and then they have to call us and they're like, "Hey, I screwed up. Can you come save me?" We just tell you like, "Hey, that's the reason." When I first got to my shop and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go, you know, I'll go practice at home with my new lockpick kit." The veteran locksmith, he was a locksmith for decades, and he was like, "Just be careful picking your front door, because you want to be careful with locks you rely on." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because if you lock yourself out, I'm the one you gotta call, and I really don't want to leave my house at 8 o'clock at night to come save you." And like, he's just joking, but that's really all it is. It's really just a suggestion. So for those of you that want to send me videos of you picking your front door, I'm not gonna demonize you for it. If you talk about a lock in use, some of you guys said that you got post deleted for posting a video of you picking your front door, or a front door, or a mailbox, or whatever. Some cam lock garage doors, admins are just, you know, deleting them on the spot, saying that it's a lock in use, and it's almost like illegal in the world of lock sport. I'm not gonna do that. I will just critique you if you're doing something that might damage your car or your house, your door. I will tell you, hey, you might not want to do it that way. If you want to use a leashy tool on your own vehicle, I don't care. The way that locksmiths learn when they get a jiggle key set is on the company cars or on their own cars. Like, that's just how it is. Every locksmith I've worked at, when they get a set of jiggle keys, they go right to the parking lot, right to their car, and jiggle key the passenger side. Like, that's just what they do. Same with Slim Jim, same with the reach tool. I would suggest that you go to a pick apart if you got one near you, but sometimes you might not have one near you. You might not have a yard, a tow yard that's going to allow you to come practice. So you have to sometimes just practice on your own stuff. So just to kind of answer all of this for you guys, to finish it off, the main reason that I see, or that I can think of in the hobbyist side of why this is a rule, is for the image it portrays. If someone drives past and you're, down on one knee picking your own lock, it is the age of social media where people could just snap a photo and say, "Look at this, criminal afoot." People, if you're not a locksmith and there's not a lock van outside, and they see someone doing this, even for your friend, people get the wrong idea. So just be cautious and aware of your surroundings if you are trying to pick your own front door. Even as a locksmith, I've had the cops called on me with a giant lock van that screams locksmith on all sides of the van. I'm in the front, of the house in a uniform picking a lock, and I had a cop show up, and he's like, "The neighbor across the street said somebody was trying to pick a lock." And I was like, "Oh, He's like, yeah, when I showed up, I seen your van from like 6 blocks away. He's like, this is the dumbest call I've ever arrived to. And I was like, it's cool, you know. And he's like, have a nice day, man. And he just took off. He's like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. So, um, it's just an image issue that I can think of. Again, everything that you do with locks, you run a risk of some type of damage. Even when you're removing a C clip from a lock, you risk damaging the C clip. So honestly, like I see this in some forums and groups where they'll allow you to take apart a lock and gut it. And I feel like you run more risk of damaging a lock when you take it apart and you gut the lock than if you were just to pick it. And that's just me. Like I've seen guys, destroy clips and tail pieces and springs and lose pins, and like there's way more risk in that than picking a lock, in my opinion. So just to answer that for you guys, I'm not gonna demonize you or yell at you for it. This channel is all about uplifting and boosting confidence of new pickers, new locksmiths, new hobbyists, all of it. It's all about being positive and really just having you guys be able to start out, with a leg up on the competition and a way to start out really in the world of locksmithing. Because if you don't go in with any of what I've taught you, you're going to spend your whole first year learning everything I just taught you in these videos. And it can take a long time. And if you can go in there with these skills, the owner's going to really, bump you up to the next level. And that's where you want to start. You want to start, in installs, and you want to start in the lockouts, and you want to go out there and prove that you can do these things. That way you're like top of the, food chain there. So hopefully this video did answer those questions and it helps you guys out. If it did, feel free to subscribe if you'd like to learn more about locksmithing if you're new to the channel. And as always, good luck on your new jobs, good luck on your projects, and have a nice day.